What are the topics that we have discussed yesterday?
Discussed about the portion of LWC.
So what are the index of their LWC index?
HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Component.
Web stack, browser related LWC bundles, and the events.
Right, and what else?
Forms.
Life cycle hooks.
Life cycle hooks, okay.
Lightning data service. And calling apex.
Other things, what did we discuss?
Wire service.
Wire service.
Visual Studio setup.
Visual Studio setup. Now, before starting any session, first of all, everyone has to be perfect about the index. That means before we learn anything, at least we need to be perfect in the index, right? So again, I'm repeating. So index has to be noted for everyone. So what are the keywords that are used in the LWC? So the first thing we have is in the LWC, first we are going to learn about
HTML.
HTML. Now, in HTML, how many members knows HTML here? What is HTML? Let's see what is HTML.
Hypertext markup language.
Okay. How about others? What is HTML?
Hypertext mark language, and it's used with the tags, different tags. Header, footer.
It is
both.
used to design the web pages.
It gives structure to the web page, madam.
Structure to the web page. Okay. Front-end web technology used to build user interface. Okay. Before going to the HTML, let's understand what are the indexes. So first it is an index, and what is the second we have seen yesterday? CSS, which is we are going to talk about styles. And the third one we have a JavaScript. The XML, we are going to talk about XML. Then later, slowly we will have a Visual Studio setup. And then
web stack.
We are going to talk about the web stack. How the browser is working on it. Seventh topic is how the browser is working on. Now, what is the next topic that
LWC
we will be starting the LWC
bundle.
LWC, we will see the first LWC bundle. And then we are going to talk about how to create a LWC. Then how are we going to apply the CSS inside the LWC? Then we are going to talk about the naming rules.
Best practice.
Best practices.
LWC components.
LWC components, so we will be seeing the LWC components.
Tags.
So, which are
LWC,
LWC component tags,
LWC decorators.
LWC decorators. So everybody should remember these topics, right? So make sure either you note down, take a notes of it, index, because this is very important. After that, what did we see?
LWC JavaScript.
LWC JavaScript,
In that import and export,
right? Input and export, okay.
Data
data
binding.
binding,
What
Life
is it?
cycle.
Life cycle,
hooks,
oops. And then
Get data in
Get-
LWC.
so which is a wire network.
Lightning data service.
Lightning data service,
Import Salesforce object fields.
importing the
Salesforce object,
Salesforce
Right.
object fields UI.
page layout, Apex methods,
objects, fields,
UI,
Page layout. Call
Yeah.
Apex.
then we will see how to call the Apex,
Events
Events.
events, right?
Called LWC from Lightning Flow.
Call LWC from lightning flows.
Chat. And charts.
This is the additional topic which I'm going to cover, chart.js.
Programs.
So finally, we have in one program. So total 24 topics. There are subtopics are available, but total 24 topics, right? So these 24 topics, everybody should remember. Everybody should remember what are these 24 topics. So if you want to take a notes, you can take a notes of it. But everybody has to remember these 24 topics. Whether you know the subject or not, but if somebody talks about the wire service, or if somebody talks about the events, so you should be able to identify, okay, events is the topic in LWC. Wire is the topic in LWC. So you should be remembering these topics. Now today we will see what is it. Like we know that there are 24 topics are. So in these 24 topics, how are we going to use this? First of all, let's understand what is this each. Because we need to understand what is it. If you know what is it, then we will be able to understand going further. So Satyamurthy saying that, can you also include the refreshing the sales data in LWC, how to refresh the sales data, that everything we will be covering into the importing. Like it post messages, refreshing it, everything we will cover into the importing. So this has the toast messages, objects calling the objects, and refreshing the data, calling the UI, everything, refreshing the page, everything will be covered in this 20th topic. Let's see what is HTML. Now, the members who doesn't know about HTML, now how do you explain HTML? How can you explain it? Instead of going into the more technical, how do you say? So somebody has explained it, saying that HTML is nothing but hypertext markup language. But will the person able to understand if you say hypertext markup language? Now, how do you explain this hypertext? Now, this is a normal English word, hypertext markup language. But if you have to say hypertext means what? How the person will be able to understand? Now, we have a few candidates who are non-background, non-technical, right? So how do you explain when you say hypertext?
It's language tells how to display web page words and images with different tags.
Okay. How about others?
By using this language, we can create our own web page.
Okay. Jay Shankar, Naresh, Navnita, how do you explain it? Amardev?
Yeah, it displays if you want to create any web page. So it is a friend. It defines the complete structure. What do we want to display on a web page? So we can say it is a front-end display. It is a display of a page. Using this language, we will implement a page.
Okay. So how about others?
To design a dynamic UI as per our requirement.
It is a script language like Java.
Script language like Java. Okay.
It's like skeleton of the website.
So few members says here building the blocks of the web pages such as tags and attributes, tag-based program collection of web pages to display the data in user to understand format. Okay, so almost everyone is fine, correct? So when we say here, if you divide it here, hypertext. So the term which says hypertext is nothing but we are displaying it, like it refers to the text that we are displaying on the computer, whatever the text that we are displaying it. Text displaying on the computer. That means computer should be able to understand what is the text I am going to display on the system. Or it is a digital device that contains the hyperlink. Hypertext, it could be a text or it could be a hyperlink. I'm providing some information to the system. And this system has to display those information onto the web page. Right, so when we click on anything like a documentation or anything, if I click on it, so it has to be open the certain format into the web page. So basically HTML is, it's a standard, like in order to, first of all, hypertext is nothing but, now the next one we have a markup. So basically hypertext language is it is a markup language, which we call it as a markup language. And it defines the structure or the presentation, structure or presentation of the content, whatever the content you have it, of the content on the, how do you want to display on the whatever the web page is there, how do you want to display on the web page. So that means web page is nothing but only related to the www. There are few other web pages, those are not, we will not be displaying it. So you have a certain format of the content, certain content is there, like a 20 paragraph or 20 lines or 30 lines about yourself. About yourself, you have some 10, 20 lines are there. Now, how do you want to present yourself on the page? Right? How do you want to present it, like a step by step, or you wanted to go by paragraph, or you wanted to use the structured in the bullet points, or how do you like a picture wise, how do you want to present the content on the web page? So with the help of HTML, we can explain that to the web page. So display this information in certain format. So this is a markup language which computers are going to understand. Like in simple word, if we have to say HTML is the backbone of the web page. It is a backbone of the web page. Whatever you are seeing on the content on the web page, everything is at the back end. HTML is going to decide it, how the text should be structured and how it is organized. Everything will be handled by the HTML. It's a backbone for the web page. Right, so here this is the HTML. Now next we have a CSS. What is CSS here? CSS is nothing but, what is CSS?
Cascade style.
Cascading style.
Cascade style select.
Right?
Where we can apply styles like margin and borders and some other coloring, fillings of colors with CSS to
You
the
can
page.
format the text.
Right. So CSS is,
Styles to the page.
so CSS full form is cascading style sheet. Right? So what it does, so basically you have a page, right? So in the page, this is the one web page. In the web page, the backbone of the web page is the HTML. Where it is displaying the content here. It is displaying it, some kind of a content it is displaying it. But this content, background, whatever the background is there, this background, I wanted in the different color. Background has to be a different color. Or the content which it is displaying it has to be a different color. Maybe it has to be displayed here in the blue color. So if I want to apply this kind of a styles like a background color, font color, or give a space in between this, or should start it from here and give a space at the bottom. So if you want any styling, if you want to apply it, then you have to go for CSS. You have to go for CSS. That means for beautifying your web page. Right? So the content is already there on the page. But how can you beautify your content to look very attractive and it should be look very nice? So to beautify the web page, we will use the CSS. So to beautify the web page, we will use the CSS. Now, coming to JavaScript. Now, what is the JavaScript here? Is used to make the web pages interactive. Okay. How about
It is,
other?
to interact with the server side, sorry,
Server?
client side.
Not really the server side.
To make the web page dynamic.
Make the web page dynamic. Okay.
If you want to implement any logic, so we'll use the JavaScript.
Right. Tejeshwar, it connects from the end and back end, front end and back end. Connects the front end and back end. Not really, I can say. Half of the things are right, but it's not truly used for the connecting it. So scripting language, right?
It's a client side controller where we
Validation.
can apply the logic.
Logic, okay.
Client side controller.
Client side controlling, okay.
To make the web page interactive.
To make the web page interactive, perfect, okay. And how about others? So it is the one of the programming language creating the dynamic web page. Okay, so somebody is asking what is cascading? Now, what is cascading here?
Complete web page.
Complete web page. So basically, cascade is nothing but another word for the cascading is a process. It is a process in which one action or an event trigger, whatever the actions you are doing it. So if you want to perform those events into the proper format, in the hierarchical format or in some structured format, so they follow the cascading effect. That means it is going to step by step executing the style, like cascading style, cascading menu, cascading effects, cascading failure. So these are the different cascades are there. So cascades are used to describe the effects, the process or a effect, right? So for that purpose, we use a cascade. Now, is that clear? So coming back to the JavaScript, now JavaScript, almost whatever you guys have said, it's almost same. So JavaScript is basically, it's one of the programming language. It is one of the programming language. But why do we use it? What is the purposes? It is for the web development. Main role of the JavaScript is for the web development. For web development, we use it at the backend, we use JavaScript. Now, when I say web, because whatever the activities that I'm doing or the events which I'm performing it, right? So all the activities can be, JavaScript can be able to hear the events, right? Can hear the events and what should happen, what is the behavior of the website, what is the current behavior of the website, is current behavior of the website is, did they click on the button, or did I need to stay on this page for some time? So what all the things that I can perform it. So each and every behavior of the website can hear by the JavaScript. And it is a scripting language, and JavaScript is a scripting language, and also it is called as a programming language. Now there are some key features are available in the script, which is called as a client-side scripting. We have a client-side scripting. Also have a event driven. That means based on the event, the logic has to be executed at the backend, or else cross-browser compatibility. Cross-browser compatibility. Right, and the server-side development. In case if you want to have it, call the server-side development. How can you call it using the JavaScript? Right, so these are the different activities can be performed in the JavaScript. These are the activities can be performed in the JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is a technology for the nowadays, in order to make your web service in modern web development, if you want to implement using the latest script or latest technology, what are the latest version of the JavaScript is there, using that we can build our own website, right? I can build my own some kind of the pages. So for that purpose, we use a JavaScript. Now we are displaying here. Now this is HTML is displaying the content here. Now CSS is applying the style. Now font style, and here we have and button color. What should be the button color. These all things are displaying on the, this is displaying on HTML is displaying for the website, and this is applying the CSS. Now, whatever the activities are happening here, that means I'm entering certain information here. I'm entering the first name, last name. When whatever the activities the user is performing it, I wanted the backend somebody to hear whatever the activities are happening. Now, who can hear with the help of JavaScript? We can hear what are the activities are happening on the website based on the event. Event is nothing but on change. On change, that means we have changed something and we have entered the data. On click, we have clicked on the button and we have clicked on the URL. So whatever the activities are happening, everything we can capture it with the help of JavaScript. That means in the JavaScript, we write by default, JavaScript is also providing the some keywords. They have some background keywords are there. So we will not be implementing everything from the scratch for the JavaScript also. So there are few default events are there, which will be automatically here. Only thing is that apart from the default, if you want to hear your, like apart from this, now if you manually enter any data here, and in that case, if you want to customize your own event driven, then you can customize it using the JavaScript. So in the JavaScript, we can see entire code, what is happening and how the flow is getting executed in the website, right? So for example, I entered the first name here. When I enter the first name, if I hit a tab, what will happen? Tab should go to here. Now I have a fields, this side first name, last name, email ID, phone number. Now you are entering the name here and you click on the tab. When you click on the tab, the system has to decide it, the cursor should go here or the cursor should go here. Now by default, cursor will go to here. But in case if you want a different way of executing the cursor, now when you click on the tab, first complete this side and then move to the tab here. That means first, after completing the first, cursor should come and place it here. After completing the left side part, then only the cursor should move to the right side. If you want this kind of a things should be happen, which is a customization, because default thing you are changing it. If you want to make these changes, then what you are doing is with the help of JavaScript, you can implement it. Or else if you want to give an alert message or a pop-up message, those things we can do it using the JavaScript. Next one is XML. What is XML here? Is anybody hearing for the first time XML? Usually we hear about HTML, CSS, sometimes JavaScript, but is there anyone who heard about for the first time XML? Okay.
Yep. So ma'am, Priyanka here. So XML is an extensible markup language which is generally used to create our own tag. If we want to customize our tags, then we go for XML.
Right, that's true. How about others?
Whatever the components that we have created, that where we have to represent in the UI, we define through XML.
Right. And how about others? Arun, Bhanu Prakash, Charan, what is XML?
It carries the data, a schema level data within the language.
Okay, that's right. And other answers? Gagan,
It's a markup language for file formatting and storing.
file formatting and storing. Okay.
and transporting the data. XML. Yeah. Hi, ma'am. This is Surya.
Yeah.
Yeah. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. It used for storing and transporting data in the tags. Without tags.
Okay, that's right. And how about Umardeep, Pallavi, what is XML? Sai Krishna. Provides the rules to define any data, okay, to transfer the data. Data will be stored in shared manner, okay, web page transferring. Can we say it is carrying the metadata? Carrying the metadata is not right word. Used in the DOM, designed to carry the data. You can say carry the data, but not carrying the metadata. So let's see here. Now basically XML is nothing but, as you guys said, it is a extensible markup language. Extensible markup language. These terms, okay. So Amardeep is not aware. Anybody else who is not aware about the XML? XML is extensible. First time hearing this name XML. Okay. So this is also another markup language, similar like a hypertext markup language, right? XML is also another markup language, which is called as the extensible. And this is mainly used for the, now how you can store, okay, how you can store or structure and transporting the data. In which format you are transporting the data. Either because there is a two ways are there. What XML can do is it can transporting the data in the format that human readable, whatever the human readable is there, so they can understand it, as well as it can transport the data into the machine readable. So both human readable and machine readable. So XML is often used to refer the structured information. XML is often used for the structured information in a text-based format. How can you present in the text-based format? How can you make the system to be present, system to understand? Like for example, you have written the LWC component. Now, or lightning aura component, or you have written the Apex classes. Everybody has completed the Apex classes, right? So once you create a Apex classes, at the back end, XML gets generated. At the back end, XML gets generated. Now let me open this. Now I know a few members don't know how to use the Visual Studio. But now what I'm going to show you is, there is a, for every file, XML gets generated. XML gets generated. So here, let me open. Now let's say here we have a classes that we have created. So few classes which we have created. Now this is the account controller. It's a simple class, account controller. This one, let's take another one. Okay. So this is the helper. So get all contacts, right? So right now everybody should be able to understand. So I have one class which is a contact helper. In this contact helper, I have a get all contacts. That means I'm getting all the contacts from the system. Simply I'm printing it, all this information. Simply I'm printing this information. Right. So similarly, I have a few other methods. It is getting all the information from this is from the contact object and printing the data, and this is from the books object and printing the information. Like this, we have a few methods. So this is created by me. That means developer has created this class. Developer has created this class. In the developer console, click on the file, new Apex class. I have created the class. But when I created the class, by default at the backend, there is a XML that gets created. Even for the XML, or if it is a Aura or LWC, whatever you are creating it, for everything there is a XML gets generated by the Salesforce. XML gets generated by the Salesforce. So what we are trying to say here, this is created by the developer who knows the Salesforce. The person has created the developer, the class, but how system will know, like machine language, how machine will know that get all contacts and where they have written this class and where should I need to display it, should I make it active or not, and where I need to push it. This is the Apex class or LWC classes, or what is the XML, which metadata I need to push the data. But everything can be decided by the XML. So XML is for the store, structure, and transporting the data in a format of, in both the format, like a human readable format as well as the machine readable format. Right. So it has XML is basically hierarchical structure format. So whenever you will not be implementing a XML in Salesforce, by default, it will be created by the system. But what you need to cross verify, you need to check here whether your class is whatever you have implemented the XML, whatever the system has implemented the XML, is it in the hierarchical format? That means it is in the hierarchical structure or not. Right, so it is in the hierarchical structure. Hierarchical structure is nothing but it starts with the XML, and we have an Apex class within that API version within, and then status and another Apex class. Like this, you will have a different structure will be there. So hierarchical structure, is it proper in the hierarchical structure or not? And can human understand the XML? That means if you go to the XML document, you have just now I have opened the XML document. Is XML document can be understandable by the human or not? Now, once it is sent it to the machine, can machine understand based on the XML? Because machine readable is XML data structured. What is the structure is mentioned is there. Like, and as per the structure, where should I need to store the data? Where should I need to store the data? And how can I transport the data? Is machine is able to understand by looking at the XML. So basically XML used in the application is, there are a few points are there, which is data, interchange. So can the data interchange between the application and system? Application and systems. That means between the Salesforce and system, how can I interact the data? Right, I have taken the today's date. So today's date is nothing but it should talk to the system and pass it to the application. Right, so the data interaction is happening there. Now, how can I represent the data? Representing structured data to the database. Data in database. And it's this is mostly used for the web service. Like whenever whenever we have this kind of a XML, that means there is a web service, the backend, Salesforce or somebody, whoever is using the XML, there is definitely web services happening at the backend. So if you are implementing the XML, so XML in Salesforce, where we use it either in the SOAP or a REST, when we are interacting with the another system, that time we will use the XML format. This is for data exchange. What I'm doing here, XML I'm using for the data exchange. for the API. So in the API, that means web services, from my system to the another system, from another system to the my system. So we are trying to exchange the data, and while we are exchanging the data, I'm converting that data into the human understandable as well as the machine readable. Both I'm converting it and passing it to the another system. First, another system has to read that. That means if machine is able to read that data, pass it to the human. A human will be reading that data and convert into their own language. So for that purpose, we use the XML. Any questions so far? Now, if you know HTML, if you know CSS, how to use CSS, if you know JavaScript, different keywords and different how to use the JavaScript, how to write a code in the JavaScript, and if you are able to understand, that means if you are able to read the XML, right? If you know these things, it is easy to implement a LWC. It is easy to implement a LWC. LWC is not a big topic, or it is not a difficult topic. Why people says that it is a difficult topic? Because it has a JavaScript. But it's not a difficult topic. I can say it is more of a thinking process. LWC is a thinking process. How can you style your web component? How can you show your data to the LWC UI? So how can I make the backend logic to be work for the LWC? So it is logical thinking. If you are able to think in the logical way, it is easy for you to implement the LWC. LWC is not a very difficult topic at all. First of all, take out from that mind, LWC is a hard or a difficult. No, it's not at all difficult. If you are able to think, you know how to structure your data, right? If you know how to organize your data, how you want to present your data, and whatever the events are happening from the user, how to capture it. If you know these things, the tricks, it is very easy to implement LWC. It's nothing but, now for example, I have two systems. Let me take here. Now here we have one system, right? This is one system, this is another system. Let's take a example of mobile. Okay, let's take it mobile. Now here I have two mobiles are there. Two mobiles are there. So when we have two mobiles, now here what you are doing is you are dialing some number, right? You are dialing some number, some different number you are dialing it. So when you dial it, how the mediator will know that there are so many mobiles are there. Here one mobile, so many mobiles are there, right? So how it is knowing that when it goes to the mediator is connected to the multiple systems, multiple phones it is connected, right? Now here it has to be go to the proper system. That means first machine has to read what is the number you are dialing it. Machine cannot understand the +91. That means somebody is converting into the machine level language here. Now, once it is converting the machine language, first machine is going to fire it. That means it will ring, right? So first machine is going to fire it. So once it is fired, then human will understand here, okay, there is a call is coming, I need to attend. So once I say here attend, then immediately whatever the machine has received the signals, it is going to convert that into whoever is the person is talking to. I might be talking in English, I might be talking in Telugu, I might be talking in different languages. But this machine is able to, whatever the language you are talking it is first it is going to convert into the machine language, then it will transfer into the same language that you are talking to this person, right? So if this person is not able to understand the language that you're, whatever it is converted, we have a few apps, right? So using that apps, what we can do, it will send it to the machine, and this machine will transfer the data to this application. And what this application will do, whatever the human readable language is that the human will be selecting here. That means human will be interacting to the application. In order to interact to the application, the person should be able to understand what the other person is talking about. Similarly, in the Salesforce or wherever you go, so in Salesforce, what we are doing is assume that this is a Salesforce system. This is Salesforce system, and this is, let's say here, SAP system. Now we are doing the integration between these two systems. When we do the integration between these systems, and SAP says that I can understand only the XML format. I can understand only the XML format. So we will send the XML structured format to the mediator, and the mediator is going to send the information to the SAP. Now first, system has to read this information. If system is not able to read this information, whoever is the developers are working on it, they will not be able to see the response at all. They will not be able to see the response. First, system has to hear it. So as soon as the system hears this information, it will pass it to the developer. Now developer go and open that file. If the developer open the file, now he will go through the step by step, right? So if the person is able to understand this, that means whatever the data is they are sending it, if the person is able to understand it, then they will take this data and they will convert into their own language. Otherwise, what this person is sending it, you are sending something different. I cannot understand. Send me in a different format. Fine. Is that clear, Satyamurthy?
Yes, madam. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, is everybody clear whenever we talk about HTML? Now, we will discuss about the HTML, CSS, but this is what is it we have discussed so far. Now, is everybody clear what is HTML, what is CSS, what is JavaScript, what is XML, and how it is used? Okay. How about others?
Yes, ma'am, it is clear.
Okay. We'll see few more topics tomorrow, but today that's all. So remember this topic. Everybody should remember this 24 topics in the LWC.